Let me show you how you can highlight buttons for overlays on a Cargo Collective website. Cargo allows you to highlight active links, but that works only for regular pages. But for overlays, you have no way to see which overlay is active now, and let's break it down. This is a website I'm going to work with, and I already have like 3 buttons. If you don't know how to create buttons, you just need to create a piece of text, select it, and then make it a button, clicking this thing. And also I created several overlays, and let me show you how you can create an overlay. Click settings and set overlay, and yeah, it immediately becomes an overlay. You can choose which settings you prefer here. And for each overlay, I do have a layout set to 100% height and aligned to the button. That's why you can see them at the bottom, right? And this is all you need to start. And let's delete this page and go back to a page where my buttons are located. So each button can be connected with the overlay by regular links. When you select a text and then click link, you can choose the page from the list, and you immediately see preview overlay button, which can show that everything works. Now you need to open code editor and move to HTML tab. So here is the trickiest part, to find your buttons. This is the button number 1, and it's wrapped into an A tag. So it starts with an A and ends with a closing part of the A tag. And let me restructure that a little bit so you can see clearly. And what's special about these buttons is an attribute called hyperreference, and this is exactly the thing which you need to copy. Then after you copy the thing, go to this exact overlay and open a code view and move to CSS tab. And here inside of square brackets, now you can assign any styles you like. For example, I'm going to use background color, set it to red. And immediately you see now that this button turns red. But if you go back to the home page or move to any other overlay, you see now that the styles are no longer here. And that's exactly why we need to use them inside of the overlay. And you can do the same for second button. Let's do that. Hyperreference of the second button is overlay 2, and now you can actually apply different styles. But if you prefer, you can also use the same styles. It's all up to you. Remember that every time you change the title of the overlay, it's going to affect the links. So first you need to update the link here, like where the button is located, and then you need to copy the new hyperreference. Let me demonstrate. So let's call this overlay somehow differently, and then go back to home page and see that actually now this overlay is not really linked to anywhere. It just shows you that it's linked to an outer link, which doesn't actually exist. So you need to link it again and go to HTML and see that this is your new hyperreference. Well, it's actually pretty easy to guess how it's going to change, but in case you want to make it easier, you can just copy the thing. And let's go back to the overlay, move to CSS, and use this particular reference. Aside of background color, there are other styles which you can use. For example, you can use color, and if it does not work, you can always say important, and that's gonna work now. You also can apply some filters. For example, blur 5 pixels. It's limited only by your imagination. And if you're not sure how all these styles are called in CSS, well, you actually can ask ChatGPT about it, or any other AI, and it's going to handle that perfectly well for you. Most of the tutorials which I recorded recently were recorded for people who asked about them, and thank you for sharing your ideas or troubles working with Cargo. This is really inspiring. And don't forget to donate me to Patreon and follow my channel to get more updates about Cargo Collective. Goodbye.